I'm continuing my journey on from Riverford towards Ham Green, where there is a third viaduct. It's interesting how cuttings are blasted through rock masses to keep the route as straight as practicable. The route is heavily wooded, making this an ideal cyclist haven, but hidden in the trees are little mysteries. It's rather rough path here. I'm walking along. Comes to this strange little place on the other side of the embankment. There's a fireplace over there, and with a chimney coming out the top and a flue. And it's carved out of the hillside with stonework built into it. Maybe it was a watchman's cottage or something. Some of the cuttings are quite narrow. Once the rock edges may have been charred by soot, but now they are dense in mosses and lichens. The woodland gives way to a much more open vista, giving us an opportunity to look over the Plym Valley. Our next point of interest will be the Ham Viaduct. And this is Ham Viaduct. We've reached the third of the three viaducts that span the three valleys from Plym Bridge, and the third one here is just behind Bickley Marine Barracks, which is just behind me. Perhaps you can hear some shooting going on. It is October. I guess there's some hunting going on, some pheasant shooting or something, I don't know. I don't know what little stream this is, but it's lovely, isn't it? Some deer over there, look at that. Away from the firing. Whole herd of deer. You see them heading off across the fields. Through the cattle. It's rutting season, look at that. Oh, look at that. We're going to press on now towards the tunnel, which I would like to stop and examine for a little while. Leave Ham Green Viaduct and take the short cycle road to Shaugh Station. The station platform remains. In the 15 or more years since the last train service, trees have grown to full height, and it's hard to imagine how the station looked in its heyday. Our next stop takes us to Shaugh Tunnel, also known as Lieghbeer Tunnel.
In a minute, but before we do, there's this structure here that has always interested me. It's obviously an aqueduct of some sort, but the hint might be at the other end of the tunnel, because my feeling is that this is a leat that once fed a mill or some sort of machinery at a mine that is somewhere behind us, but we'll look into that later.
It is the Lopez family that owned the mines called Wheel Lopez, although other shafts were opened nearby about the 1840s. This would have been about 10 years before the railway was opened.
just come out of the tunnel a little bit further down there, and this is the feature that seems to be of interest. Now then, this leat seems to go right round the hillside and go across that bridge, and it follows through down here and over here. You can see that there is a sluice that once operated, and the sluice, here we are, would have outflowed into the Lieghbeer out there. Can you see the Lieghbeer down there? The lead has crossed paths now, come underneath the pathway and underneath the railway track, and now follows another route up there. Now defunct, of course. This lorry's still. Here's our cycle path. Now lead comes down and disappears underneath the road, crosses over the road under this wall, and continues unabated down in here. Follows that all the way on by a level course, while that road goes uphill. Okay. And I've traced the lead up as far as here. At this point I seem to have lost it. It might go underneath here, but I don't know where. Right, we've just come up from the tunnel for a little way, from that last little point, and we've come to our next feature, which is we're slowly coming uphill, up a slow incline. Down below us is the River Lieghbeer, and we have here the remnants of a wall. And this is where the cycle path and the original route separate. You can see just about down by the side of the path. The cycle path has been built up over the course of years, and the course of the railway is down by the side and somewhat filled in. Sustrans people have nicely tarmacked the path all the way up for us, and it was a gravel path up until quite recently, but obviously they've had to go where they have the best route possible after negotiations with landowners. You'll see in a minute how land ownership has changed the route of the cycle path. Our route goes up here, but you can see through that gate the continuation of the old railway line going up through there. Now it's private property now, and goes to the back of a private dwelling, which may have been a station property at one time, but maybe it's just been built over the line. A lot of that has happened.
We've reached the village of Clearbrook, and at this point I might backtrack before we move on to Yelverton to have a look at the old industrial archaeology down at Shaugh Prior.